What's up guys, Santa OMG here, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you guys how to use 3x oscillator in FL Studio to make sounds for a trap beat. So this is a beat that I just got finished using only 3x oscillator and drum samples. So yeah, this video is brought to you by Young Bellic on Instagram. He followed me on Instagram and we've been DMing for a little bit, and we were talking and he mentioned that he wasn't able to get good enough sounds out of 3x oscillator, so I just thought this might be an interesting video to do. He's been making beats for 5 months and he's really good, so y'all can go follow him. And you can follow me on Instagram and Snapchat, and you can just follow along my process of making videos, and we can talk in the DM and all that stuff. So go follow Young Bellic and then go follow me. And with that, let's get to the video. So I'm going to be splitting this video up into 2 parts, because if not, it'd be about 30 minutes long. So this first video is going to be the basics of 3x oscillator. If you've never learned how to use a synthesizer before, like what these waves are, what these envelopes are, I'm going to be going over that today. Part 2 is going to be how I made those specific sounds in that beat. If you're watching this right as I upload this, it's not up yet, but it will be up in a couple days. But if you're watching this too far in the future, it'll be linked in the description. So with that being said, this video will probably be a little bit long, probably about 10 to 15 minutes, so there are going to be timestamps in the bottom of the description that'll be labeled certain things like envelope, wave shape, or whatever that you can go skip to. And also, like I said, part 2 is going to be linked in the description as well. So yeah, so let's get started. So with the name 3x oscillator, or 3x OSC actually means is it has 3 oscillators. And what an oscillator is basically a sound generator. So we have 1, 2, 3 oscillators, okay, to make our sounds. And so we have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different shapes that we can use. So I'm going to turn down these, so we only have 1 on. So we have a sine wave, this little very soft looking wave, right? We have a square wave, we have a rounded square, we have a triangle, then we have a saw wave, and then we have a white noise. Okay, so you have these waveforms to pick from, and then also if you click right here on this one, it'll bring up a Windows shell menu, so you can import your own waveforms or wave shapes or whatever. And then right here, this button, you can invert the phase, which we'll be going over in just a minute. We can invert the phase of each oscillator. So what this does right here, this phase offset, stereo phase offset slider, what that does is it allows you to change the phase of the oscillator, basically, by increments. So basically, it'll just change, I think, the starting point of the waveform. All I know is is you can alternate that. If you have another oscillator, it's a lot more apparent, like see, it kind of changes the sound, you know. You can morph the sound a little bit. With Detune, it's used to make things like have a little bit more width and movement. So like if you were playing like a chord, especially if you have 2 oscillators, right? So instead of it just being like this, it could be like this. Okay. Then we have coarse pitch tuning, which is see this 24 right here? That's your bass line, and you can go up or down 2 octaves. And if you don't know what an octave is, it's 12, the span of 12 notes. So say I'm at C and I go down an octave, you'll still be playing C, but it'll be at a lower pitch. So this is C, and that's C, and then you have every note in between. So like if you're making a bass, you would turn this all the way down, right? Or if you just want to make a lead, you'd probably stick it right there. You could do it like that. It's also can be used for like auto chords, you know, like if you wanted to make it play a major chord with just one note, one press of a button, you could do this. Okay. Right, and it's like a chord. Oh, that wasn't up, that was why. Right, so you're playing chords with just one note. This fine pitch is you can either put it up one whole note or down one whole note, and that's good for giving things movement, kind of like Detune. So we'll have 2 oscillators that are playing the exact same note, exact same thing. If you move this fine tuning of one of them either up or down, it'll be like all like warbly. And then if you add that with Detune, so fine tuning and Detune kind of sound the same, but they do it in a little different way. And then panning is where panning is like a sound starts at dead center most of the time, and then it can go either all the way to the right speaker or go to the left speaker. So like this. Right. And these are all oscillator independent panning. And so yeah, that's basically it. Oh, this button right here, it inverts the phase of an oscillator. So since they're playing the exact same thing, they cancel each other out. Well, this cancels this out, so you're really only hearing this. But if you change it, it can kind of like give you some interesting sounds. So you can just toggle that on and off to see if it changes your sound any. This AMOS3, if you look up here in this window, stands for amplitude modulation, which is a different type of synthesis. And what that basically, it makes this oscillator 3 a modulator to 1 and 2. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't really mess with this too much, but I should, because I was messing with it before I took this video, and it's pretty cool. So basically, this is a modulator to these two. So it's good at like making stuff kind of rough sounding, you know, like. Right, so that's pretty cool. So you're not hearing this third oscillator. All this is a volume or amplitude modulation to these two. And what that means is I'm pretty sure it means that it's causing the volume of these two oscillators to go up and down in volume relative to this waveform. But don't quote me on that. Y'all should probably look that up instead of listening to me. Phase randomness. Basically what I said about this phase thing right here, it could change the sound. Well, this phase randomness knob, depending on how far you turn it up, it'll make the phase different every time you press a note. So okay, so instead of let me get all this back to default. Instead of doing this, instead of doing this, sounds the same every single time. You could turn this knob up, and if you look right here, you can see the frequencies bouncing around because it's changing phase every single time I press the note. And that really helps with making stuff sound a little bit more realistic. So that's everything in this screen. Now if we go over to this envelope screen, you have panning, you have volume, mod X, mod Y, and pitch. Panning, like I said earlier, is where it'll go left or right. Depending on, like, it'll be louder on one speaker or louder on another. So you have an LFO, which stands for low frequency oscillator, and basically all that means is that it will modulate a certain parameter at a certain speed. So if we turn this amount knob, we have delay, attack, amount, and speed. If we put this amount knob up, you can see there's a waveform coming out, and so you'll hear that it'll be going side to side. Right? That's freaking disorienting. So that's how you do that. Like if you wanted something to start in the center and then go side to side, you know, as it gets going, you could maybe give it some attack. So it just gradually starts getting more intense. So right? And you can look up here at my levels meters and you can see. Right? And delay is kind of like you can start it and then it'll be flat and then it'll start. Right? And then speed, you can actually right click on any of these knobs, and the menu isn't coming up in the video, but you can right click on any of these knobs and hover over the word set, and it'll say 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step, 8 step, 16 step, and so on. That's so you map it to your tempo. So say my tempo is 130 beats per minute. If you right click on the speed knob and hover over set and then go to 4 steps, it's going to be mapped to, it's going to be the exact same speed as quarter notes are for 130 BPM. And if you don't know what quarter notes are, I have a video about note timing and stuff like that. The link is in the description. It's called like note timing or something. It's called Music Theory for Beginners, but watch. See, it's mapped to wow 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 wow. It's not just kind of like free roam speed, and you can see that this tempo light lights up. You can right click on any of these knobs and set them to a certain tempo, like you want it to gradually increase for 4 steps until it gets to its max. So you'd right click on attack, go to set, press 4 steps. Right. Global is okay. Basically, if you have global check, the LFO won't start from the very beginning right here. It won't start from that every time you hit a note. It'll start from wherever you left off. So if I press a note over and over again, it'll start from the same panning position. Watch. Look up here. Same every time. If I click on global, it'll start wherever I left off when I release that note. Right? It's more apparent if I have it slower. See up here? If I uncheck global, it's the same thing every time. So, that's what that does. So we can go to the volume, which if you've never seen an envelope before, this basically signifies what the sound will be doing, and we're in the volume tab. So this is how the volume will be. So if I press the note right now with the envelope active, I'm going to turn this LFO off. With this envelope active, if I press a note right now, it'll gradually increase, then it'll get to its max volume, then it'll gradually decrease, and then it'll sit right here. Alright, and then when I let off the note, it'll ring out a little bit. So watch. See that? Now, with no envelope, it's just a note. If you have the envelope active, then it'll... And then you can change the parameters of this. So if you want it a little less attack, if you want it to be like a pluck, you can do this. Right? And what each of these parameters do is kind of self-explanatory. It's very visual, and that's what I like about this synth. But basically, delay is, you know, when I press the note, it won't play until the delay is done, until it gets to this. So I'm gonna press a note right now. Right, so it takes a little while. Attack is a gradual increase to its max volume. And then hold is how long it stays at its max volume. Right? Decay is how long it takes to slope down to either 0 or where the sustain is. So right now there's no sustain, so it's at 0, so it's going to drop down all the way to 0. Sustain is where you if you don't want it to go to 0, like say I want it to stop halfway and just chill there. See that? Then release is where if I just hit a note real fast, like boom, it rings out instead of stops. See? So that's release, and you will notice that we have 3 other knobs right here. These are tension knobs, so you basically can adjust the tension for different slopes. So if I want it to be like real sharp, like wow, you know, like I could do like this. See that? With the tension on the default, it's like more, not as abrupt, more even, you know what I'm saying? So this is good. I use this for like plucks and stuff. Right? So just mess around with that. The release also has tension. So if you have sustain and you want the release to be a very smooth and abrupt, or smooth ring out, you can have it like this. Or you can change that to like this so it drops off really fast. See that? These are all also tempo based, so these tension knobs aren't tempo based, but if you right click on any of these 6 knobs, you'll see the steps. You'll see the set menu, and then you can tempo map that. So you can map that, and then this light will light up. So, and then you have the LFO. Something I want to go over is that you have 3 different wave shapes to play with. So if I wanted to make like a dubstep bass or whatever, you can have this. I right clicked, went to set, and went to 4 steps, and now it's mapped to quarter notes. So right, if I wanted to have it be abrupt, then I would pick a square wave. So it's like, or you can make a triangle, which is a little smoother than a sine. Right? And remember, these are also, you're able to map it to tempo, and then you have global. So if I right, so you can play around with that, and then that's it for the volume. Mod X, just like I said before, you know what all these things do. The attack and the hold and release, except for the Mod X, what Mod X is your cutoff frequency for your filter. It's a onboard filter for this synth. So what a filter is, it cuts out certain frequencies of a sound. Right now we're on low pass filter, so what Mod X is the cutoff frequency of this low pass filter. So if I play a sound, we'll leave it like that. It sounds pretty good. Right, it cuts out the high frequencies. And then if you wanted to make an effect like here's a good example. If you wanted to make like a pluck or something, you could do this. Right? And what that's doing is you'll notice that we have this amount knob, which we didn't have in the volume. What the amount knob is you can control where you want the cutoff frequency to be at relative to this envelope. So right here, right there, this dot right here is it represents max cutoff frequency. So what this envelope is doing is it's going to swoop up, and then this filter is going to start from right here, but it's going to go up to right here, and then it's going to gradually go back down to where it started. So see that? But we can set it to where it doesn't go to max. We can set it to where it goes just a little bit, so like right here it goes back down, right? Or we can make it go down, right? And the reason that it, like, okay, so when we have the amount knob to like down like this, what this is doing is this represents this point, so it's going to like right here, and then when it's dying off, it's going back up, so it's going like this, like turn off this one, right? If you wanted to do something like that, you could use sustain, and then it would stay at the down position. I have the sustain all the way up, or you could do this, like that, like, right? LFO, same kind of thing. Okay. Like I said, all these are tempo based. Mod Y. What Mod Y is oh, and I want to tell you guys about filters. So there's different types of filters. I'm gonna turn off the envelope and the LFO. If you click on this fast LP, it'll drop down a menu. The menu isn't showing up in the video, but it says fast LP, LP, BP, HP, BS, LP, X2, LP times 2, SVF LP, and SVF LP times 2. And what this is it's different types of filters. So I said that this LP filter, LP stands for low pass filter, okay? So what that means is it's cutting off high frequencies. If you look up here to the frequency monitor, it's not lowering the volume, it's cutting out the higher frequencies. So if you wanted to change that, like you have a couple different low pass filters to choose from that have different slopes, you know. They're more aggressive or less aggressive. Sound different. Then you also have a BP filter, which is a band pass filter. What a band pass filter is it allows a certain bandwidth of frequencies to pass through. So if you look up here, as I change the filter cutoff for this filter, it'll allow a certain different band of frequencies to pass through. And this is dependent on what your mod Y is, which is resonance. And what that does with bandpass is the higher your mod Y, your resonance is, the like smaller the band of frequencies. See that? And then when I turn mod Y down, you almost can't even tell the difference. But once I increase the resonance, right, creates a bigger band. So that's band pass. High pass is the exact opposite of low pass. And so that means instead of cutting off high frequencies, it cuts out low frequencies. And it's kind of inverted. So by default, it starts like this. You can see up here that it only lets super high frequencies out. But if I lower the mod X, the cutoff frequency, it'll start letting more and more lower frequencies in. See that? So if you put the resonance up, right? So that's high pass filter, and then you have BS, which is our last type of filter, which is a band shelf. And what a band shelf is it's notching out. Like, so look up here in my frequency monitor. It notches out certain frequencies. So, and then the higher your resonance, the less frequencies that you cut out. So let's start right here. Right, so that's something you can modulate. So that's it. That's all the filter types. So going back to mod Y, what mod Y is a resonance. Now, I don't really know why they don't just call it cutoff frequency and resonance. I think it's kind of counterintuitive, but that's what they do. So mod Y is just filter resonance. And what resonance is, so say if we have a low pass filter and we have the resonance halfway, basically what resonance is it makes louder whatever frequency your filter's on. So instead of just regular like this, it kind of adds a little more character. Right? So that's what resonance is, and you can modulate that all the same, like I said, for these other two. And then we have pitch, our last one, where what pitch is basically the frequency of your instrument. Like, you have different notes. Those are all different pitches, and you can modulate the pitch. Like, a common thing that people do is like a sound like this. Or you can make it like rise. The LFO is something cool to play around with, so like that sounds freaking funny. Right? Yeah, get some riser action going in there. So yeah, just mess around with that. And then we have the miscellaneous section, which is you can control the volume, the panning, the mod X, mod Y. It's all the same. You have polyphony, which is like slide notes. So what portamento mode is you so if I press a note like this, and then I press another one, it's regular, right? If I activate porta mode, it slides down to that next note and then slides up to the next note. So right? And this is how long it will take to slide to that note, right? And then you can still press 2 or more notes at one time. So it's like you can slide chords, like, right? What mono mode is when you can't play more than one note, right? But it still slides. So like it's good for like leads. Like I do this with leads, so it's like, and I actually do that in that trap beat that I made. So yeah, that's something it could be like, right? So that's that. So that's what that is. And then we have arpeggiator. So we have, like, if you play more than one note at once. So if I play a chord, instead of just playing the chord, it'll play those notes separately. So it's like, and these are just different modes. Like it'll go up, 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 and just over and over. It won't go back down. It'd be like da 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 da. If you go pick the down arrow, it'd be like da da do da da do da da do. And if you go the up and down arrow, it'll be like do 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 do. And if you pick this one, it'll be like do 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 dee dee do 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 do. Right? And then if you pick the question mark, it'll be random. And also you can pick, this is tempo based too, so you right click and go to set and then go to like one step. It'll be like, right? And then you can pick the gate, like how you cut off the note. Right? You can pick slide, so it's like it'll slide to the next note. You can pick the range of the octave, so it'll play your chord at one octave, then go up. Right? Then this right here is just, it'll play chords automatically. The menu isn't coming up, but it's a big menu of chords. Like if I wanted to play a major chord with just one key, it'll arpeggiate a major chord. Turn off slide. Right? So that's that. What was it on? None? Yeah. Or auto sustain. Then you have the echo delay and fat mode. Basically this is a built-in delay, and this is the last thing that we're gonna have to go over. This is a built-in delay, and it'll basically give you, like, if you press this little arrow, drop down arrow, it'll bring down a menu that'll basically show a couple presets like this. I think you have to have release on for this. So it's not really a delay, to be honest. Like, it's kind of lame. Like, I don't really ever use it. You can change the loudness of it. I'm gonna reset this. You could change the loudness of the delay. So right, you can change the panning of it. You can change the cutoff of it. You can change the mod Y, which is the resonance. That's pretty interesting. You can change the pitch. You can go down a full octave or up a full octave, or you can get somewhere in between, like this, like. Watch. Then we have the time, so you can right click on this, Oh no, it's not tempo based. Well, if you look up here in this window, you'll see it's on 3 by default. If you go to 4, that's 4 steps. If you go to 2, that's 2 steps. Right, so that's time based. Ping pong, you can have it go from left to right panning. Right. What fat mode is it makes more unison, so I think you have to go to like the presets. If you go to that arrow and press on fat detuned, it'll give you some like unison effects, like detune effects, like. And basically all it is a couple of delays, but they're at they have like 2 milliseconds of delay, and they're pitched up by a couple cents, like 10 cents. If you look up here, it'll say plus 18, plus 8. Right, so it's kind of like a built-in unison. And they have just different presets. So yeah, that's it. Hope I didn't skip over anything, and I hope you guys learned the basics of 3x Oscillator and FL Studio. So go to part 2. If it's not up yet, just subscribe to my channel. But if it is up yet, like if this is a week after I make this video, then look in the description. It's going to be at the bottom of the description by the timestamps. And just click that link and you'll be able to find out how to make those sounds that I made in that trap beat I showed you guys earlier. So yeah, like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And follow me on Instagram. Follow Young Bellic on Instagram. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.